String theory is the theory of everything. Quantum mechanics tells us about the very small. The theory of relativity explains the immense. String theory ties it all together. It proposes that atomic particles are made up of infinitesimal vibrating loops of energy, or strings. Each string vibrates at its own frequency, like on a violin, producing notes. And these notes make up everything in the universe.
Cosmic symphony.
These strings have been combining and recombining ever since the Big Bang.
Struck so suddenly by all instantaneous, the impact analogical to walls when they're caving in. The sight and expectation amalgamate the climax, resulting in an overwhelming sensation on contact, adrenal explosion, a volcanic episode. Will you manage or will you? Because there's so much pressure blow. Maintain balance, a steady hand so to speak. The serene nature of moments brief, like when eyes slowly blink. The period of time that when they're closed you think alone in sync. Unexplored ocean deep, culminating in an epiphanical instance. You realize your primary interest, all else shoved aside as you follow whatever left your mind with its imprint. Departure, fulfillment, return. The path I walked, that which is sought will be learned. Determination, the interpretation of the walking stick bird. After all, who you actually are should not be lost to the earth. Midian belongs on its perch. From the shadows, cabal monsters emerge. Crawl to the surface, be yourself, embrace the flaws. You're not perfect, the imperfections. I will make impressions on the thoughts of observers. You are admonished to let your consciousness flourish and blossom like Sakura's courage when she decided to get stronger so as to not depend on Naruto further. These words embody wisdom like the goddess Minerva. You must not surrender, you can only venture as far as your fervor. Lethargic brain cannot escape the jaws of inertia. Are you absent or present? Will you sit back in concession or attack with aggression with whatever will act as a weapon? The wounds of which are lasting impressions. If you're not competitive, the predator is your own acquiescence. Tooth and nail or you will fail, defeated motionless, equal to what a spine can achieve with a broken disc. I can't stand people who are mistreated and don't resist. There isn't a world in which a single hero exists that can save someone who won't hold their fate in their own two fists. If you careened over a cliff, what good would a rope be if you won't reach for it and close your grip? In order to teach, one doesn't need a whole bunch of fish. The student determines where the school is learned its only extent is the curiosity. They absorb the knowledge each is open to get. They must be interested or the implement won't make a dent. Information cannot be forced on those who don't give a shit. Take responsibility, be yourself, it will help you find serenity. Be proficient in the ways of within the mind agility. What's in divides you all, DNA intertwines until complete. In much the same way individuals provide specific things. It's like paintings that made up of several brush strokes. You can't see the images that meant to project from up close. Move back and the depictions will begin to unfold. The vague becomes vivid when you pivot the scope. Accepting queens doesn't mean you surrender control. You can acknowledge their existence and not do what you're told. Could it be resistance? Is it written in the bee's genetic code? Or perhaps it fears the consequences at the end of that road. But perhaps you can only get where you're willing to go. If you don't pose a challenge, how will you ever know with just one feather from a crow? I ascend to the sky. His act of generosity permits me to fly. He plucked it from his wing to initiate mine. Grateful for the pen, I saw the wind at his side. The beat, a quill I fill with ink from my mind. Instilled, I write what I feel, instinctualized. The rhyme it builds, increases in size. All it needs is some time and patience. Thankfully he provides. Galaxies collide, but life comes out the other side. An entrance could be an exit, it depends on the set of eyes. So before you make decisions, consider what's next in line. Cause whatever you decide gets heavier over time. For those who say that hope is for fools, I say hope is a fuel. If you use it to drive you forward, you can go where you choose. You can't just hope and wait for roses to bloom. If they're not nourished, they cannot flourish and grow from their roots. Nothing exists on its own. You must give to what you wish to be grown. We're all symbiotic cogs that spin for the whole. The bigger picture, the eyes of any behold. Only thing you control is the pixel you contribute to the image that's shown. For those who say that hope is for fools, I say hope is a fuel. If you use it to drive you forward, you can go where you choose. You can't just hope and wait for roses to bloom. If they're not nourished, they cannot flourish and grow from their roots. close. Nothing exists on its own. You must give to what you wish to be grown. We're all symbiotic cogs to spin for the whole. The bigger picture, the eyes of any behold. Only thing you control is the pixel you contribute to the image that's shown. Sit there and watch that fucker Lost make this beat in like 12 minutes. We emerge from oceanic depths to be observed by those that have slept. They fear us cause they are dry and they don't know what is wet. We've changed the attack. When things stay the same, they relax. But even still, there is always one who strays from the pack. It is within he, we instill the strength to detach. Think for himself and find a way to adapt. Awaken his dormant brain and activate his synapse. Evolve like a pyromaniac when he plays with a match. Explore new heights until its relativity shifts. Then see what else exists. To a degree, one must be capable of selfishness. And a state of mind is sedative. And let the imagination fly like when propellers twist. Under circumstances that make the sky irrelevant. Hidden away inside our vague disguise as a precipice. At first glance, you may only find what's evident. But upon further observation lies a shape beyond the skeleton. But that is vague as well. Even more so than the costume we've made our shell. We need to fine-tooth this paper trail, find the truth and break the spell. Mesmerized by disorienting lies that swirl and intertwine. With poor defenseless eyes, the sight blurs until it's blind. You try to find your way, yet you ignore so many signs. Do we go to heaven, hell, or purgatory when we die? All of the above and more, it's just the doors are in disguise.